I'm David Scandura, sugar.
I'm Justus Birkin.
And today we're here to find out, is Crybaby the greatest movie ever made, mama?
Electricity makes me insane.
Why, Crybaby? Why?
Here's why. Electricity killed my parents.
That was a solid intro. That's better.
Yeah, that was good.
We did retake that intro, and depending on how Justice decided this episode, you may have heard it.
Depending on how chaotic I feel, you maybe only heard this version, or maybe you heard both. Who knows?
Yeah, this is another TGMEM After Hours.
After dark.
Get ready for things to get
We are
weird.
drinking alcohol. The sun is down.
I'm fighting
I
off
have
a dog.
so much fucking pollen in my eyeballs.
Welcome to the greatest movie ever made, the show where we watch a movie and tell you if it's the greatest movie ever made.
Listeners, you can't hear this, but there is one single tear slowly, so slowly making its way down my cheek.
Because of the pollen. Because of the aforementioned pollen.
Right, it's allergies. Maybe that's Crybaby's whole thing. I just got really bad allergies. I got hay fever.
Movie that is so thoroughly entertaining and compelling that while you're watching it, it's the only thing that matters in the world. I'm David Scandura, joined as always by my co-host and King Crybaby himself, Justus Birkin.
I am the King Crybaby. I am known for crying. In fact, there's a whole cry count thing that we do on this podcast about me crying. I feel like Crybaby is...
It's been a while since we had one of those.
It has been a while. Well, we haven't been watching movies that are that sad. I didn't cry during Tenenbaums. Tenenbaums was sad, but not like that kind of sad. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Right. I could see that wringing some tears out of me on subsequent viewings, but not for that first one.
Yeah. Didn't cry watching this movie.
No.
You know what I did do watching this movie? Laughed a lot. I laughed quite a bit. We'll get to it.
Yes. Before we get to it, I would ask you how you're doing, but the thing is, I've seen you every day for almost at least a week, I think, at this point.
Right. So
here's how we're doing.
Yeah.
We're tired.
Uh-huh.
We're stressed out.
Correct.
There's not enough hours in the day.
Yeah.
And we hope somehow that through all of this, it will at least be rewarding.
Yeah. Type 2 fun.
Type 2 fun, maybe.
We are overextending ourselves.
We're doing 2 shows.
Yes.
And one of them is not in this city.
2 shows not including the podcast you are currently listening to. This is our 3rd show.
Yeah. So is there anything that you would like to add individually about how you're personally doing aside from that?
Mostly the thing is I am fighting for my fucking life against seasonal allergies right now, which we already alluded to. But I sort of feel like I'm dying. But I had 2 drinks before we turned the mics on, so that's helping.
Right.
Hopefully the worst is past in terms of the allergies, and I'll soon get over this hump. Most springs I have like a couple really bad days, and then I think my system like acclimates and I get better. So I'm hoping that will be happening soon, because right now kind of feel like ass.
That normally happens to me too, and I just don't take my allergy medicine.
Yeah.
And then eventually it catches up with me and just knocks me on my ass. But it hasn't happened yet. And it's normally, and we were talking about this off mic, it's normally like the first night I sleep with my window open and a fan in the window that I just take all that pollen straight to the face. And I did that last night, but I feel fine.
Yeah.
There's not even like a little scratch at the back of my throat that's warning me of greater things to come.
Yeah. Mostly like I'm breathing okay through my nose and stuff. Mostly my eyes are just really bothering me. It was really bad the other night. I was like trying to like do dishes and clean up in the kitchen before bed, and it got to a point where like my eyes were bothering me so much that I was like, I can't keep cleaning the kitchen. I have to go lay down and close my eyes right now because I cannot stand to have them open right now. So yeah, keep my pollen infested eyes in your thoughts and prayers. And solidarity with any other seasonal allergen sufferers out there, because shit sucks real bad. Do you have anything to add to what you said?
No.
Okay.
Do you have anything to recommend?
I do have one thing I know I have shouted him out before as a media recommendation. It's weird that we've been doing this podcast long enough that an artist that I have shouted out before for having a new album has another new album. Like, that's how long we've been doing this podcast. Is that like an artist that I have media recommended? That's that word.
That's the word.
Again, as previously mentioned, 2 drinks before turning on the mics. Anyway, Joshua Quimby has a new album.
Fuck, there's a new Quimby?
There's a new Quimby.
Didn't know about that.
I fuck with Quimby. It's
That's
an
rad
album,
as hell.
It's an album called Something Like Country. And there's something about this guy. He's kind of like an alt country guy. When I mentioned him before, I called out that he's from Connecticut, not really a traditional place for country musicians to be from. So he kind of has his own thing because he's from New England, and he kind of brings that to his music, which is still very much like honky tonk country. But his new album is there's something about this guy that makes shit like him covering My Way by Frank Sinatra, a thing that I generally think artists should not do. He pulls it off. His cover of My Way is very good. It's on this album. He at one point does like a comedy sketch in the middle of the album, like you would find on like a 90s rap album, and it works. And also there's a lot of just like straight up good ass country songs. Some of them he wrote, some of them are covers. They're all pretty good. I'd suggest giving it a listen. Something Like Country by Joshua Quimby.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like Quimby too. I think I checked him out on your recommendation.
Quimby rocks.
Probably one of the few media recommendations that I've actually sought out instead of just hearing you talk about a thing for 5 minutes and be like, okay, that sounds cool, and then moving on.
That's fine. To be fair, I have done the same thing with a lot of your media recommendations.
That's fine. I get it.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily do them for you. I do them for our listeners who probably listen to our recommendations even less. So,
I will say E.T. did call out to you and I. E.T. gave us a media recommendation, which was the new Lorna Shore single, Oblivion. And I did listen to that. And I know, E.T., I know you're listening. I don't normally fuck with Lorna Shore. I kind of think their stuff is like maybe a little... I find their stuff a little overproduced for my style.
They had a moment with To the Hellfire where it was like really, really impressed with it.
Yeah.
Really cool. And then, because they had Will Ramos was their newly hired singer, and he was showcasing his vocal talents on that song, and he's an incredible singer.
He is.
But then the Lorna Shore singles kept coming out, and their new album came out, and it was just like, this is kind of like trailer music deathcore.
Yes, but what I will say is they do that in a way that is dynamic and varied enough on the new single that E.T. called out to us, Oblivion, that I was like, okay, this is good. This is good Lorna Shore. So the new Lorna Shore single is good. Do you have any media recommendations, David?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I've been playing the Batman games to relax at the end of the night.
Bartman.
Been playing Arkham Asylum, and then I moved on to Arkham City.
Yeah.
Which I played a lot when I was younger. Actually, Asylum is one of my big gateways into becoming a bigger Batman fan.
Even I played that game. That was back in my gaming days.
Did you ever play City?
No, I never played City. I only played Asylum. My brothers, I think, played Arkham City.
Yeah.
But I never did.
City's really good.
Yeah.
But that's what I've been doing every night.
Cool.
Not every night, but most nights at the end of the night to chill out.
Nice.
Okay, so we're moving on to today's movie, which is our first film mandated by our wonderful, lovely, radiant new managing assistant, E.T.
Yes.
They sent us a list of films to talk about, and we landed on John Waters' 1990 jukebox musical comedy maximalist freak show crybaby.
I described this movie like to High Priestess Pod as Grease meets Natural Born Killers. I don't know if you agree with that, David.
I don't think you're wrong.
There's a little bit of NBK vibes in this thing. And what I mean specifically is just the unrelenting speed at which shit keeps fucking escalating.
Yeah. I can, yeah, by that definition, I can see it. This definitely feels like we're at the end of the 80s, which was notable for its 50s nostalgia wave. And in the same way that, like, as slasher films and action films approach the 90s, they're just lampooning the tropes and they're aware of the tropes. This sort of seems like the 70s and the 80s, 50s nostalgia film, like Grease or Peggy Sue Got Married. Those tropes just like blown up to 100.
Yes, it does very much feel like John Waters being like sort of doing the scary movie version of Grease, right? Where it's like sort of just a parody of all that stuff. It also, to me, feels like John Waters, I don't know if you've heard this, David. I don't know if you've heard this.
Yeah.
John Waters, gay man.
This man is gay.
I have the feeling this man is gay. We're gonna have to insert right here the full clip of Werner Herzog learning that John Waters is gay. If you have never heard Werner Herzog describe how after like several decades of friendship he finally learned John Waters was gay, you're in for a real treat.
For me, a man is a man. I cannot distinguish a gay man from a straight man. I just cannot distinguish unless the man comes in drag and is so obviously gay. Then I would notice. And I saw a filmmaker whom I know since 35 years, John Waters. John Waters, just 2 weeks ago or so, John Waters. And I turned to my wife. We talked backstage because we were both introducing or speaking at an event for the founder of New Line Cinema, who is a friend of both of us. After 35 years of knowing John Waters, I turned to my wife and I said to her, I have the feeling this man is gay. And which is in a way wonderful, because I took him as John Waters, and I love the man. I love him dearly, and he's the boldest of the bold of filmmakers. I wish I had the guts of this man, and he's very, very dear to my heart. But for me, this is a man. Yes, a man is a man.
That's definitely in like my top 5 Werner Herzog moments. Along with the time where when he got shot and he was like, it was not a significant bullet. Or there's a clip of him talking about his favorite movie snack, and he goes, his face lights up and he goes, well, of course I would have to say popcorn. I love it, the salt and the grease, and it gets all over my fingers. It has to be with butter.
I love him. I never watched The Mandalorian, but I just love the clip of him in The Mandalorian going, I would like to see the baby.
Yeah, that's a good one.
A lot of, you know what I was, speaking of Star Wars, this is totally off topic from Crybaby. Speaking of Star Wars, you know what I was just watching the other night? A supercut of clips of Diego Luna talking about how he wants to touch Jabba the Hutt. Have you ever seen that shit? No. Diego Luna is obsessed with Jabba the Hutt. He wants to touch him. He wants to feel his texture. At some point, do yourself a favor and Google Diego Luna Jabba. Or really, to find what you're looking for, Google Diego Luna Yabba, Yabba, because
that's
Diego
how he's
Luna
pronouncing
has a Mexican accent, so he says Yabba.
That's great.
I want to touch Yabba. I want to feel his texture.
He's probably in a better position than most of us to touch Jabba the Hutt.
Yeah, I think he's like campaigning for it, because he's like, I'm on a Star Wars show. Put me in the room with Yabba.
I'm sure
I want to touch Yabba.
I'm sure the puppet is just like somewhere down the hall in a storeroom somewhere.
Honestly, someone at Lucasfilm or ILM or something needs to just do Diego Luna a favor. I'm sure it's like not that big of an ask to be like, let him touch Yabba, please. It's all he wants.
Yabba the Hutt sounds like a glup shito, like Jabba's cousin or something.
It's so great hearing Diego Luna
mother-in-law
say Yabba. It's do yourself a favor and Google it. Anyway.
John Waters.
Yes, John Waters. I was gonna say
Yeah.
this, in addition to John Waters being like, I am lampooning the 50s nostalgia film, seems to me, David, like he is perhaps lampooning straight people in this movie. Did you pick up on that? It feels like John Waters a little bit is going, this is what y'all look like to me. I don't know if you I don't know if you agree, but that's sort of where I felt like this was coming from
I
him.
didn't necessarily apply a lens of sexuality to it, but it did sort of seem like a reflection on the moral panic of the 80s.
Yeah. Yeah. Which to be fair, mostly straight people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Having that moral panic. And the moral panic was mostly targeted toward the people who were getting AIDS, who were generally not straight.
Yeah. But I mean everything from heavy metal music to drugs and all of that stuff. Like everything that a complete reaction to the Reagan era kind of filtered through this campy 50s jukebox musical.
Yeah.
Do you have any familiarity with John Waters?
I have seen Pink Flamingos.
Okay.
We all had one, cis white men, edgelord phase, right? Where I was going on 4chan a lot. I was like, I want to find the most like transgressive and offensive shit that's out there, right? And I heard about Pink Flamingos, which is one of John Waters' films from the 70s, which is notably it's an art film, it's an experimental film, and it's quite infamous for a scene at the end where a drag queen eats dog feces, right? And so I heard about it in that context, being like, it's so shocking, it's so, whatever. And so I torrented it and watched it long ago when I was in my edgelord phase. And back then, I don't think I was prepared for Pink Flamingos, because I sort of watched it and I kind of was like, well, this wasn't really what I was after. This wasn't like edgelord shit. This was like something that I feel like my brain is not ready to comprehend. And there's like filthy and disgusting and violent stuff in it, right? But I feel like I think my brain was too underdeveloped to like appreciate Pink Flamingos. But I've seen it, and some stuff in it has stuck in my brain. And I remember Divine a lot from Pink Flamingos, right? Who was, of course, a very close friend of John Waters.
Yeah.
And sort of his muse.
Yeah, and Divine passed away just before the making of Crybaby.
Yes.
This is John Waters' first film post Divine's passing.
Yeah, there's some Divine connections in this movie, right? I know, like, some of the crew, like the props master, for example, was, like, Divine's godson. Like, a lot of people connected to Divine, who John Waters knew through her, were involved in this film. Yeah.
Okay.
What's your connection to John Waters?
So, I have always been aware of John Waters, but sort of more in like, I guess like through the internet and through memes. Like I see John Waters clips popping up of him giving interviews and stuff like that,
right?
Without a real understanding of his contributions to counterculture filmmaking and queer filmmaking and all of that stuff. And I'm still that's still where I've been at all this time, is like I'm aware of John Waters, but he's not someone whose work I've explored all that much, except for Crybaby. This is the second time I've seen Crybaby.
Yeah. And
the first time I watched it was on a vacation with my family, and it just came on TV. It wasn't even like, hey, Crybaby's on HBO tonight, let's watch it.
Yeah.
I think it just popped up, and I sat and watched Crybaby on TV with my family, and we were all just sort of like, well, that was a movie, wasn't it?
It is.
And I didn't,
movie.
at the time, I didn't, I mean, I watched it, so I saw the credits and everything, but it didn't click with me that this was a John Waters movie.
Yeah.
Also didn't click with me that he's behind Hairspray, which is probably his most mainstream work. I think Pink Flamingos might be his most celebrated among, film buffs, and certainly, among his fans.
Mhm.
But this and Hairspray are sort of like John Waters trying to go mainstream. And this notably was not very successful. It was a box office bomb.
Right.
But it has built a cult following over
Yes.
the years.
And I think when you see this movie, this is the type of movie where you're like, of course this built a cult following. I think this movie has aged incredibly well. I feel like it feels sort of as fresh and prescient in its satire of a certain type of wealthy, stuffy American white straight person now as it probably did in 1990, you know. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think with the energy of this movie and like your comparison to Natural Born Killers, where stuff just keeps happening.
Yeah.
I think I didn't remember that at all from the first time that I saw it. But this movie just keeps throwing jokes and gags and quirky little moments and strange offbeat characters that populate, you know, the corners of the frame in a way that few movies that I can in recent memory that I can think of.
It's almost like a Muppet movie in that way, where there's like always some little freak weirdo off in the corner of the frame doing some bullshit.
Yeah.
You know, I kind of feel like John Waters is not too distant from the anarchic sort of like punk spirit of some of what Jim Henson and company were pulling off, just like with a lot less like earnestness and sincerity. It seems like John Waters is close to punks, right? Closer to punks, where he's like kind of sneering and giving you the middle finger a little bit.
I was also getting, and I wonder if you'll agree with me on this, some David Lynch vibes from some of these scenes.
Yeah, brother. Same.
And
Yeah.
then I found out afterwards that he's a longtime admirer of David Lynch and has met him and like was hopped on Eraserhead back when Eraserhead was still underground and all that.
And I believe that admiration was a two-way street. I think Lynch was a big fan and very respectful of Waters and his career and his output.
Right,
Yeah.
right. I was thinking of like the Inga scene, like that's just like a Twin Peaks scene dialed up by a few notches.
Even just any time Hatchetface is making a face into the camera, it also felt very Lynch to me. Like, it's like, yeah, Lynch also loved being like, look at this fucking ugly weirdo. Like, let me put them on screen and the point of it being like, have you, the viewer, examine how you view ugliness, right? Which is very much like John Waters' thing. He was basically like, or he is like, he's, you know, still with us. He's like, I'm elevating the grotesque and what people consider ugly to like make you think about what ugliness is and why you react that way to it and where that prejudice comes from, right? Which feels like the same thing that Lynch does when he like puts like a weird freak on camera. You know?
Yeah.
You know?
With the all of the greasers in this movie that the movie called they're called drapes.
Drapes. Yeah.
Which is an odd term.
I had never heard it before.
No, I mean, I guess I have heard it before because I've seen this movie before, but
Yeah.
I didn't remember much of this film.
Squares versus drapes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny that the squares are like proud to adopt that
Right.
term. They've
They're
reclaimed
like, I'm
squares.
square and proud. Right?
Yeah.
When are we gonna have a square Pride Month?
But all of the drapes. This
Also,
movie,
great Pride Month movie. Thank you, E.T.
Yeah, good point. Good point. Good point.
Yeah.
All of the drapes are treated with a lot of sympathy and like, but also the movie's unafraid to showcase their, you know, their ugliness and their flaws and all,
Yeah.
but still treats them with a lot of
Like
love.
when they're partying with a huge Stars and Bars flag in the background. That's sort of the thing, right? Is it's like the drapes are not like aspirational. I sort of think like John Waters' thing is like, yeah, like the ugly and the downtrodden and the fucking, you know, the dregs of society are like just as human as the rest of us, and someone should be elevating them and drawing attention to them and putting a camera on them. But he's never really saying, like, these people are, like, people that you should want to be. Because it's like, yeah, they're still, like, fucking flying the Confederate flag.
In Baltimore.
In Baltimore, and then, like, at a multiracial dance, there's, like, a lot of black people hanging out with the drapes, despite how much Confederate imagery is going on.
Yeah.
It's confusing.
I don't know.
I think it's sort of the John Waters, like, confrontational nature of it all, in the same way that, like, some anti-fascist punk bands would wear swastikas as, like, a statement where it would be like, oh, I'm trying to, like, provoke a reaction from you, right? I kind of think that's, like, John Waters' thing, is like, let me put, like, huge stars and bars here just to make sure you're fucking, like, paying attention and a little bit on edge. Like, he's just trying to get you, like, keyed up,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
You know? Anyway. So, like, the movie starts and they're all getting the polio vaccine with these huge needles. And there's, like, a fun, like doo-wop, like, cry, cry, baby, cry, or whatever, over it. And, I don't know, fucking Johnny Depp and this girl, Allison. Johnny Depp's character is Crybaby. And Allison get the vaccine at the same time, and he cries one single tear. And then the title card comes bouncing in, boink, boink.
Yeah, it's a good tone setter for the thing.
Yeah.
And, like, there's all of these gags and jokes with people standing in line.
Right. This opening sequence with the polio vaccine goes on for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, like, the first one that really stands out is you see Hatchetface from the back,
Right.
and there's a bunch of guys checking out her ass, and then
She's got an ass on her.
She got an ass on her. She's dragging a wagon back there.
She is, and I mean no disrespect to Miss Hatchetface, but this is simply the vernacular. She is what one may call a butterface. She's got a pretty good body. Face is an acquired taste.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
She's everything's good but her face.
Yes.
As they go.
Right.
As
the saying goes.
But the joke is that she turns around and she's done up in this, like, garish makeup and her
Yes, and
lipstick smeared.
It's clearly drag inspired. She has her eyebrows kind of drawn on in a drag style.
Yeah. And she just sort of growls at them and scares them off.
Yeah, and I think she has a switchblade either here or later.
Yeah.
But yeah, she scares them off. Yeah, we were setting up some relationships here too. Like, we see, is his name Milton, who's dating Hatchetface?
I don't know.
But we kind of see them together here. We see Crybaby's sister in the scene as well.
Yeah.
Who's pregnant.
Mm-hmm. One of the greasers, I think it's one of the greasers getting the vaccine. It seems like he's either getting high off of it or it makes him come in his pants.
I was sort of thinking he was coming. I was kind of thinking he liked the pain. Yeah, I think he just liked that needle a little bit too much. He was like, "Oh, nurse, yeah, give it to me more, that big needle." There's also a girl. Oh, it's the girl who likes the shot too much. It's what's her name? It's the one whose mom is Patty Hearst, which is fucking insane that Patty Hearst is in this movie as the mom of one of these greasers. Yes, it's Wanda. Wanda Woodward is the character's name, played by Tracy Lords. She's the one who, like, gets off on the shot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a really, really great opening sequence, great introduction to the movie. And yes, as you mentioned, Crybaby is played by Johnny Depp.
Yes.
This is one of his earliest roles.
Yeah. To see him littler or babyier than this, you would pretty much have to watch Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He also did Platoon and a couple other films.
I think Edward Scissorhands was before this.
He got Edward Scissorhands off of this.
Oh, off of this. Okay, it was right after.
It sounds like Tim Burton hired him based on this movie.
Okay, yeah.
And I gotta say, I think this is peak hot Johnny Depp.
He is.
I don't think he's ever been hotter than this.
He's probably hotter here than he ever has been. I agree. The Podmaster and I were just talking about the Dior commercial where he's playing the guitar, and
God, I saw that.
Talking about how cringy that is, and how he kind of looks like Like your friend's dad who has tattoos and is like kind of leathery and like
Man.
thinks he's still hot shit, but is like, it's like, nah, dude.
I don't know if he has a band, but he loves to show up on stage with his musician friends.
Yeah.
And just rip a fucking garbage dive bar bar band playing for beer tickets guitar solo.
Yeah.
And it sucks ass every time.
But he's hot in this movie and he's good in this movie.
I think he's really good in this movie.
I agree. I think he's really good in this movie.
This movie got better for me as it went along, and I think Johnny Depp was part of that.
By all accounts, he had a great time making this movie. There were apparently a lot of read-throughs and rehearsals at John Waters' house before shooting. And Johnny Depp said it was always a great time, which I imagine it was. I gotta imagine hanging out and reading this script at John Waters' house. Probably rules. He also has called Waters one of his heroes in film, which, like, cool.
Yeah.
That's a good hero to have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
After they all get the vaccine, there's a little scene here that's introducing us to the drapes, as it were.
Yeah.
I'm gonna alternate between calling them the drapes and the greasers because I think drapes is fucking stupid.
Yeah. They're all hanging out by Crybaby's hot rod.
Yeah.
Which has like flames painted on it.
Yeah. There's a couple jokes here where some of the greasers, like their parents, like one of them works as a crossing guard.
Yes, that's Patty Hearst.
Yeah.
There is literally Patty Hearst enters this movie as a crossing guard yelling at a group of teens to like be careful, and I'm like, fucking John Waters is such a galaxy brain artist to be like, you know who I'm going to get for like the overbearing mom of this like girl who's involved in this greaser gang who's like the overly sexualized one? Patty Hearst, Patricia kidnapped by the fucking what's the name, the something liberation, Symbionese liberation army, the SLA. Patty Hearst, the one, with the famous photograph holding the machine gun, that lady in my movie.
I didn't realize that was her at the time.
Yeah.
And another one of the greasers, their dad is like a bus driver. And
it's also Wanda's dad.
Yeah, okay.
Her parents are the lame ones.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And he's the one who's like, come on, honey, you want to go for a ride? We can count out of state license plates. I just saw one from Virginia, which is fucking hilarious because they're in Maryland.
Yeah.
They're in Baltimore.
But the note that I have down for this little moment here is like the horror of your parents working at your school.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which my mom was an educator for many years before she had me. And then she started coming back and working part-time. And there was one time in I think it was 4th grade where she had become a substitute teacher. And she substitute taught one of the other 4th grade classes. And apparently the kids didn't like her because for the next week, all I got was about how that one time my mom taught their class and she was mean. Everyone was just shitting on me for a week because of that.
Yeah.
And,
my mom was a teacher at the school that I went to, but she was a theater teacher, like a drama teacher. So I feel like I never got the bullying because it was like, it's an after school, like extracurricular thing. Like kids aren't there unless they want to be usually. So I never got the like, oh, your mom's so mean,
Yeah, I was getting that.
Yeah.
I was getting that a lot. But John Waters is off the bat is throwing a lot of stuff at you.
Yes.
There's a lot of jokes that are being thrown at you all at once here. They're talking about how Crybaby's in love with Allison.
Yeah.
And they take off in his hot rod. I love someone cracks open a bottle in the car and Johnny Depp's like, "Crybaby, don't drink and drive." Or someone says that.
He's very responsible. I think he says it.
Yeah.
Like, "Crybaby, don't drink and drive."
He's the good greaser. He's like a good egg.
He's a very responsible boy.
Yeah.
And he wants Allison's grandma to know that he's going to be taking care of her.
Yeah. She relents surprisingly quickly. She's like, maybe this guy's actually okay.
She's so into him though. Like, because the thing that happens, right, is like, so they go for a ride in the hot rod. they like are horsing around. They like bump the bumper of Allison's grandma's car and shit. And then they like Allison goes to her fucking like dumbass boyfriend's like doo-wop show, right?
Yeah, it's like it's like the RSVP club or something. It seems like some sort of like etiquette upper crust white people club.
I forgot. I forgot that there's like a bunch of shit here, which made me be like, this is John Waters lampooning straight people, right? Because there's like the 4 Bs,
Yeah.
which are like something breeding. Breeding's one of them, and it just struck me as very much like John Waters being like, this is what straight people look like to me. You go like hang out in hotel conference rooms and talk about how you want to make like perfect white babies.
Yeah. And what's Allison's? It's not her mom. Is her aunt?
It's her grandma.
Grandma, right?
Because she's an orphan.
She's an orphan.
Notably, because you know what? Orphans have special needs.
And tragic backstories involving their parents. Apparently.
Oh, boy, will we get there.
But she has a line about she's talking about because they just ran into the greasers. And she's like, boys with long hair and tattoos who spit on the sidewalk, girls who wear tight slacks, hysterectomy pants.
I call them. I love the hysterectomy pants line. Really made me laugh. Yes, I also like when the drapes are talking to Allison and she's dressing him down and she's like, stay away from my granddaughter, you common juvenile delinquents. Good shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like they're learning about the 4 Bs and like listening to her fucking shit ass boyfriend do his like fucking annoying ass doo-wop shit, which to be fair, very well done. Whether they're lip syncing,
I think
or
everything's
singing.
I think everything's lip synced.
Yeah. I believe that ET's research clued us into this.
I mean, I definitely know Johnny Depp ain't singing those fucking songs. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. Yeah, everybody's lip syncing in the film. But yeah, it's the performance is fun. The doo-wop guys, they're making all these like campy little faces and doing their like dumbass dance and shit, but it's like cringe and lame.
I mean, sort of. I think the doo-wop is and the rock and roll are contrasted really well in this movie, but I don't think John Waters is like necessarily making fun of doo-wop. Like,
he's presenting it at its best.
I think maybe what it is, I think one of the parents that are like at the swimming hole, because that's where the greasers head to.
Yes, Turkey Ridge, Turkey something.
Yeah, they go to a swimming hole, and one of the greasers, his parents are there, and they're like preaching and trying to turn the children away from their life of sin.
Right.
And someone, I think one of them is like, what kind of music do you I can only imagine what kind of music you listen to. And it's like, rock and roll and doo-wop aren't that far off, and it's sort of incredible that anyone thought rock and roll was threatening or transgressive or
it was
corrupting their
beats.
children.
Those beats, it's the devil's beat. It's gonna make our children do filthy things.
Yeah.
So
I think
whatever they thought back then.
I think there is a lot of care and love put into the musical sequences.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And I think they're great. Even the doo-wop ones I think are great.
Mm-hmm.
So Allison's there with her boyfriend, and she is like singing at the this doo-wop show / etiquette society meeting, whatever. And I like the moment where the boyfriend is watching her and he has a little thought bubble that's her in a wedding dress, and then it's her perspective and she's looking down from the stage at him sitting with all his friends, and all of their faces get replaced with crybaby because he's fantasizing about marrying her and she's just like, I wish you were fucking somebody else. Which is very funny.
Yeah, the inserts are very good throughout this movie.
They're very funny.
Yeah.
Again, kind of Lynchian, right? Where it is like an effect that is very simple, but it looks really good. Like Lynch does that a lot as well with his special effects, where it's like it's very simple and easy camera trick that he does in a way where it's like, oh, that actually looks great. Like it's simple and I can see all the seams, but you're executing it in a way that is like very like artistic, you know.
Well, and it's sort of a knowing 50s homage kind of thing.
Yes.
That's definitely given a little bit more camp and cheese applied to it.
Yes. At the swimming hole where all of the drapes are hanging out, I did want to call out there is a girl smoking a cigarette while swimming.
Yes, that was very good.
Which is advanced level smoking. That is like expert smoking.
You're like
smoking while swimming.
Yeah, you're just defying the elements at that point.
Yes, fire and water, like never the twain shall meet, except in my lungs while I am swimming.
I like the pervert guy. I
Yes.
like the big fat pervert guy taking photos.
I'm sorry, do you mean Toe Joe? Because that is his name. He says to Wanda, because he's like catcalling Wanda, and he's like, hey, you got some like nice cans or whatever. You want to pose for Toe Joe? And I'm like, no, I don't want to pose for Toe Joe. There's also a guy in Final Destination, I think 3, who is just like this character.
Oh, okay.
Where he's just like following ladies around with a camera being like, let me see them titties.
And he offers her like $3 for a nudie pic, and I feel like
that's low.
Back then, that's low.
Yeah.
Even then, that's low.
Even back then, yeah. You got to be laying down a $5 at least.
Yeah.
Can't even get a fucking a malt and a burger for $3.
We also meet Lenora, who is ravenously horny for Crybaby.
This woman is coming on too hard. She needs to learn the art of subtlety because she basically walks up to Johnny Depp, shakes her tits in his face, and is like, "Want to get me pregnant?" Well, she's like, "No."
well, she's also put masking tape on her leg in the shape of his initials, CB.
Yes.
So she gets a sunburn with his initials stamped on her leg.
It's coming on way too strong.
It's a lot.
She's very desperate. She wants it too bad.
Yeah.
And he's like, nah, baby. Crybaby doesn't go after the easy broads.
She sort of becomes one of the villains of the movie.
She is one of the villains of the movie. She turns into a square later.
I think she already was a square.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing. Is
she
like
goes full square.
Yeah. Well, she basically later in this movie fabricates the story about Crybaby getting her pregnant and uses that to cause some sort of media blitz.
Yes.
Because apparently nothing else is happening in Baltimore, Maryland.
It's all Crybaby. He's dominating the tabloids. Yeah, so at the little swimming hole, the Crybaby plays his music. Before he plays, we do get introduced to his family, right?
Yes, that's before the Crybaby concert. Where
Yes.
he sings.
So Crybaby was raised by the Sawyer family from Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. I just want to make that very clear.
The 50s rockabilly, like cousins of the Sawyer family.
Chop Top could have showed up in this movie and he would not have been out of place.
One of my notes is, who is this freak in the wash tub?
Iggy Pop, motherfucker!
It's Iggy Pop.
It's Iggy Pop!
It's Iggy Pop. Media's like, oh, that's Iggy Pop.
You know what's
that credit.
What's one of the weirdest mysteries of this universe? Iggy Pop is still alive. Isn't that fucking crazy?
I feel like if Keith Richards is still alive,
but Iggy Pop
then
is
sure.
as many drugs, if not more, than Keith Richards.
Right, balance in the universe, my brother.
Yeah.
I think if Keith Richards is alive, then Iggy Pop has to be alive.
It's so crazy that man continues to walk among us.
And then when
just to be clear, I'm not mad about it. I love Iggy Pop.
I think, and then when one of them shuffles off this mortal coil, then the other will go.
Just like John Adams and fucking Thomas Jefferson, where they died like within hours of each other.
Something
Iggy
like
Pop's last words are going to be like, Keith Richards still survives. Even though he died 2 hours earlier or some shit. Sorry, that's deep history trivia on this podcast. If you're not up on your American history, you might not have gotten that joke. Yeah, man, he just looks like a leather bag that you would buy from a Renaissance fair. That's what his skin looks like. And I love him. love him. I think he should keep doing it. But yeah, he's freak washing himself in a wash tub, and I love Iggy Pop in that wash tub, scrubbing himself with a big old brush.
It's that wash tub is way too small.
Oh baby,
I love him just giving it to his balls with that brush.
The fact that we like smash cut from the like doo-wop concert to Iggy Pop scrubbing his balls with a big old brush in a wash tub. Chef's kiss, no notes, absolute masterpiece, John Waters. Very good edit.
Yeah. Can we talk about Ramona Ricketts?
Yes, yes. You can thirst away about Ramona Ricketts. Yes.
Jesus fucking Christ.
So I had I feel like kind of a hot thirst take last week.
Yeah.
With the adjudicator. I think you were owed one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will be claiming that.
You are
immediately.
owed. Hear me out. Yes.
This crusty, crass, coarse, tattooed rockabilly gilf, who I'm sure her body has been ravaged by many a sexually transmitted disease.
That's the vibe. I mean, I feel like a woman flying the stars and bars as curtains in her music club,
and then designing a baby crib that also includes one, in addition to like skulls and bones.
That was really giving Sawyer Family. That baby crib, I was like, oh, okay, I understand. These are the people from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
they're also in the bone furniture business. They have just now expanded to children's baby cribs.
Maybe they're customers of the Sawyer Family. Maybe they like custom ordered that baby crib from
Sawyer Family's Etsy store.
Right, yeah. Being like, yeah, this really fits our aesthetic. Oh yeah, those guys are like cannibal rednecks just like us. Yeah.
I would bang this old hag into oblivion.
Yeah. You know what? I will hear you out on it. I didn't necessarily feel the same way, but I get it.
In a movie that also contains Tracy Lords, who is gorgeous in this movie.
Yeah.
I think she is completely usurped by Crybaby's angry, vile grandmother.
But you're not allowed to say anything about Allison because she was 17 when this movie filmed.
I wasn't going to get horny over Allison.
I know.
I wasn't going to.
I know. I was just letting you know that you'll be canceled if you do.
Well, look, no worries about that because my heart is saved.
Your heart belongs to Ramona Ricketts.
My heart belongs to one woman in this movie, and it's that delicious, delicious grandmother.
I love E.T.'s note about Ramona Ricketts, known in the 70s and 80s for playing sordid, loudmouthed, complicated, quote, harridans and grotesques, end quote. Very much your type.
Yep.
You love a harridan and a grotesque.
What's the actor's name? Let me find it here.
Susan Tyrrell.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Shout
out
Susan Tyrrell. She is great in this movie. All of these people are great in this movie. They're going really broad with it. Iggy Pop rocks in this movie. He's very fun in this movie. He doesn't do a lot.
I think Iggy Pop really shines in that first scene where he's
scrubbing
his ball sack.
That's right.
And then for the rest of this movie, he sort of fades into the background a little bit.
I like the faces he's making when he's driving the hot rod in the game of chicken at the end.
Oh, yeah.
Very funny faces.
Mm-hmm.
Good face on that guy. Good mug.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't know. He plays his concert.
Yeah, he gets a brand new motorcycle from his grandparents.
Oh, he does.
And then they play the concert, King Crybaby, which I think was an original song for this movie, and everything else is licensed music from the 50s that they repurposed.
Jukebox
musical, yeah.
But
I remember this song very well from the first time I watched this movie.
It's great.
Johnny
Depp performs the shit out of this.
Yeah. So much so that I thought that they brought it back as a reprise at the very end, which they don't. It does play over the credits, though.
Yeah.
But I thought we had one more go with King Crybaby.
Yes. And at this point, Crybaby has taken Allison on his motorcycle to the watering hole, the swimming hole. And so she's there performing with him.
Yeah.
Right? Because he's rescued her from high society.
And
she's fallen in with the drapes.
Yeah, and she started they started to give her like a bit of a makeover.
It's funny when they give her the makeover.
Yeah. They're like, show us those tits.
Your tits are our tits are the main weapon we have, which comes back in a big way. Because basically the squares crash the party. They send Crybaby's motorcycle flaming down the hill. They like find his motorcycle, light it on fire, and send it flaming down the hill, and then the squares attack.
Right.
And it is squares versus drapes. Oh, sorry.
Well, while this is happening,
Yeah.
Crybaby and Allison are like making out in the field.
Yes.
And the storm's coming, and they trauma bond over being orphans.
Yes. So we need to back up because I need to devote my full attention to what you're about to talk about. I do want to call out that in the scene where Crybaby's performing, or like a little bit before that, when it's the dance at the watering hole, there is a very funny visual gag of a woman who is just fully carrying her dance partner on the dance floor. This guy does not have his feet on the floor. He's like, his feet are wrapped around her koala style, and she's just carrying this man across the dance floor. It's really fucking funny.
I really liked Crybaby's sister. I think her name's Pepper.
Yes.
Her kids.
Yeah.
Are dressed up in greaser get up and everything.
Yeah.
I liked the visual of them dancing with each other. That was cool.
That was funny.
Also Hatchetface busts out a baller sax solo.
Yeah, yes! Dude, Hatchetface fucking wailing on the sax whips ass. To be clear, I love Hatchetface, one of my favorite characters in this movie.
Oh yeah.
Hatchetface rocks. Yeah, so they sneak away. They're making out. The party gets attacked. But you're right. They trauma bond over being orphans. Now, at this point, David, I've been watching this movie. I'm like, okay, this is clearly a John Waters movie. Things are getting irreverent. Things are getting silly. We're lampooning, American culture here and, white, straight, cisgender society. This movie takes a turn, a good turn in a good way, where it starts getting fully insane here. Because they're making out, right? And Allison's like, "Oh, I've never French kissed anyone before," and he's like, "Well, I'll show you how. You just like open your mouth and wiggle your tongues at each other." And then there's the French kiss montage, which is very funny. We like see them French kissing. By the way, the woman who played Allison, whose name is Amy Locane. She said Johnny Depp taught her how to kiss on this movie, and quote, "He was a really good teacher," end quote. So hey, it's 1990 Johnny Depp, and you can French kiss him. More power to you.
Yeah, I would go for that.
Anyway, so they're making out. The French kissing montage is really funny. It's really funny when it gets progressively sillier and sillier, where like we get to Hatchetface, and I think his name's Milton, and they're just like fully like just battling with their tongues. They're like sword fighting with their tongues, basically. But then lightning hits a tree branch, and it's so dramatic and insane, and the tree branch falls off the tree. And Allison's like, "What's the matter, baby? I think the storm's kind of romantic." And he's like, "No, there's nothing romantic about it. I hate electricity." And he rips his shirt open to reveal that Crybaby has a tattoo on his chest of the electric chair because his dad was a serial killer called the Alphabet.
The Alphabet Killer. Let me help you out here. Because you're doing that thing where you laugh before you finish your sentence.
And at this point, David, I just want you to know that the last note before this bit in my notes that ended my note taking for this movie, I put orphans have special needs, because that's a thing that they're saying when they're bonding over being orphans. When the lightning hit the tree, I put in my notes, "What?" And then when he ripped his shirt open and revealed his electric chair tattoo, I put, "What the fuck?" And then when he started talking about his dad being the Alphabet Killer, I put, "What the fucking shit?" And then as he's talking about how like he still hears his dad saying the alphabet in his head at night, or whatever the flying fuck he's talking about.
Because it was like each letter of the alphabet each subsequent letter of the alphabet corresponded to his next crime. Or something.
Yes. So at that point I put in, "What are you fucking talking about? Oh my god, what the fucking fuck?" And then I stopped taking notes.
I do think this is the point this is the point where because I sort of do remember the alphabet killer thing.
Yeah.
When I saw it, I sort of remember that from watching it the
so
first time.
Outrageous. I cannot emphasize enough, listener, if you have not seen Crybaby, how outrageous it is when this shit happens in this movie.
Yeah, so this is what I was trying to say was this is the point where I realized, oh, this movie's good actually.
Mm-hmm.
It took me a while to warm up to it and like get back into the rhythm of it and see what was going on. But I think this story, also Allison's story about her parents dying in 2 separate plane crashes because they would fly separately in case one of the planes crashed.
And then both the planes crashed!
It's 10 o'clock at night. You can't be making those noises. Your neighbors will complain. This and then the squares crashing the party and like setting Crybaby's bike on fire and the chaos that ensues was like
into a fight.
I was like, oh, this is a good movie actually.
They get into a fight and like Allison's shit ass square boyfriend is like picking up both of Pepper's kids and like fighting the kids, and then Ramona Ricketts frisbees a trash can lid into his head and knocks him out, and like fucking Wanda punches a guy with her tits. It's so fucking hilarious. This movie goes from like it's never been at a 0. Because it's John Waters from moment 1. This movie goes from like a 5 to like a 12 here. And I was like really hooting and hollering as soon as all this shit started going down. It's really excellent shit.
I do think this is maybe the best scene in the movie.
I agree. Yeah. I think the movie continues to be good.
Yeah.
I think the court scene is also
the court scene's very good after this
really
too.
funny.
God, I love the background thing in this movie where the judge and Allison's grandma
are
have
like,
this like completely unspoken relationship.
Yes, where
they're
they just keep looking at each other, and he's like, "Ooh," and she's like, "Woohoo!"
Yeah.
Which again feels like John Waters being like, "This is what straight people look like to me. You guys are just always like fucking like being wordlessly horny at each other and at inappropriate times." It's sort of like it just feels like a non-straight person being like, "You realize this is what y'all are like, right?" I don't know. I mean, I think like it's hard because this movie is definitely a satire, but I think like he's definitely treating Crybaby's relationship with Allison with a lot of love and affection and appreciation. Yes.
And they also basically just fall in love wordlessly. I sort of think he's doing the same thing here too with the judge and Allison's grandmother.
Yeah.
And the judge eventually releases Crybaby from juvie at the end of the movie, and like that's like it sort of seems like that's part of it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think like I don't think this movie is particularly sharp, like razor. I don't think it's like razor sharp satire.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty light and fun, and if it could be like definitely poking fun at straight relationships and straight people in general.
I think that's more what I'm talking about. I don't think it's necessarily like taking like a sharp focused aim at it. I think he's just sort of lampooning straight culture, right?
But I think
and
it's
being like, you guys are so silly. You know?
I also just think he's casting a wider net.
That's
like
true.
it's like it is just like lampooning the moral panic of the 80s, which was motivated by a lot of straight people, but it is more than that.
Yeah. So Crybaby gets arrested here. And Allison gets arrested too because she sides with Crybaby and doesn't side with her square boyfriend. And then they go before the judge, who is having the wordless romance with Allison's grandma. This court scene is one of the funniest scenes in this movie. It is so fucking funny. There's so much good shit in this scene. I love Wanda's parents. I love when Patty Hearst is talking to Wanda's dad, because Wanda says fuck, I think. She says the F word. And then Patty Hearst turns to this actor playing Wanda's dad and is like, what does fuck mean? But they bleep it.
They bleep the first 2 fucks.
Yes, because it's a PG-13 movie. And then Patty Hearst gets the one fuck in this PG-13 movie. And she goes, she's like, because she's like, well, what does fuck mean? But it's bleeped. And the dad is like, oh, it's like, it just means you want something really bad or something, right? And then she turns to the judge and she's like, Judge, can we take Wanda the fuck home? And that one's unbleeped. And it is, this is like, again, it's like peak John Waters to be like, let me take Patty Hearst, who represented a very complicated moment in America's history, and put her in a courtroom saying fuck to a judge. It feels so in keeping with his whole like anarchic, like punk, like fuck the system energy, you know?
Yeah.
And it's really funny.
Mhm.
And also Patty Hearst, by the way, really fucking good in this movie. Good actress. Didn't know.
Yeah, I like the courtroom scene a lot too. And then Crybaby gets sent to prison, and Willem Dafoe just walks in and out of this movie in the same shot.
He walks in, spanks Johnny Depp on the ass, says like fucking God bless Richard Nixon, God bless Roy Cohn.
This is where some of that, I think, that reaction to status quo comes in, where
Right.
he's like, you know, it's basically like you belong to the system now. So, you know, remember to say thank God to Dwight D. Eisenhower, thank God Roy Cohn, thank God Richard Nixon.
Yeah.
And Willem Dafoe crushes it in this little bit part.
He really does. He's in this movie for like 15 seconds and he rocks. And he leaves a huge impression. Like it's yeah. Yeah, we love him. We love to see him. Before he gets put in the boys' prison, I do have to talk about Hatchetface's mom in the court scene.
Okay.
Because they're like they're all on trial, right, for their crimes at the rumble that went down at the swimming hole. And the judge like calls out Hatchetface, and they're like, the judge is like, oh, like all of your parents are here to like take you home or whatever. And Hatchetface's dad walks in with her mom, who is in an iron lung. Being wheeled on a gurney, and the dad is like, are you proud now? You finally put your mother in an iron lung. And the mom in the iron lung is smoking a cigarette, and you can see the reflection of her face in a mirror. You can see like the top of her head, and then her face is reflected in the mirror. The way that they do the shot is so funny. And then the dad takes the cigarette out of the mom's mouth and smokes it while she talks. and she's like, oh, what do I pay taxes for? Like she just like goes on a tirade at the judge.
Yeah, because the judge is like, no smoking in here. Yeah.
Right. From inside her iron lung. It is some of the best shit in the movie. And then the iron lung gets a flat tire, the like gurney that it's on, blows up flat, and they like use a car jack to like jack it up. It was really making me scream on my couch. It woke my wife up how hard I was laughing at it.
I imagine that happens a lot.
Well, yeah. I do have a loud laugh.
You do.
What can I say? You know, I have joie de vivre. I enjoy humor. And I'm not shy about letting people know. Anyway, yeah, he's in prison and Willem Dafoe is spanking him on the ass. I just really wanted to talk about the iron lung.
I forgot about the iron lung.
It's really
I did watch this movie today, but I'm so tired and like it's the end of the day and all that shit.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I'm here to remind you of the iron lung.
Thank you.
Yeah, so like he's in prison, he's making license plates. Lenora or whatever her name is does the fake like, oh, he got me pregnant thing, and that makes Allison all mad because she hears it on the news or whatever. This is like, I liked this movie a lot. This is the part of the movie where I was like, where's all this shit going? You know? And it wraps up pretty quick after this. Like, there's not a lot to this movie. It's like 85 minutes.
Yeah, it's a pretty brisk 85 minutes.
But there is like a brief moment here where I'm like, where are we headed here? Because I feel like we hit a really high peak, and now I feel like we're kind of just hanging out.
I do like. Well, here's the thing. I sort of felt that in the beginning, where I was like, "Is this movie just a hangout movie?" Because it's like, "Oh, we're gonna go to the swimming hole. We're
Right.
gonna go see Grandma and Grandpa. We're gonna come back to the swimming hole and sing a song."
Yeah,
I really like all the crybaby in prison stuff, though.
I do too.
I like him printing the license plates with Allison's name.
They all just say Allison. It's really funny.
And then the musical number that they do here is really good. Like there's been music throughout this movie. A lot of it has been sung in like a concert form.
I do like this one a lot.
And
the prison number.
Yeah, but this has like there's dancers and choreography.
Also, like the lip syncing always looks really good. Like they are lip syncing.
Yeah.
But it's like lip syncing by way of a director who was familiar with drag performance, right? So it feels like the respect for the art of lip syncing is greater coming from John Waters, a guy who hung out at drag shows a lot, versus like, you know, just like any random Joe straight guy off the street, you know?
Yeah, well, the movie is never trying to convince you that this is Johnny Depp singing.
No, it's the artifice of it is him going super outrageous with his vocal performance while lip syncing, in much the same way that drag performance.
And his facial expressions and all that. He gets the chance to really go all out with this character.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of what made Johnny Depp's performance so impressive to me. Is like he knows how to play the soft and sensitive kind of damaged James Dean aspect to Crybaby, and then let loose when the musical performances kick in.
Yeah. It's funny that like the main plot thing while he's in prison is like the threat is that they're gonna cut his hair the whole time. Like that's as high as the stakes get. It's like, we're gonna cut your fucking hair, and he's like, you'll never take my hair. And he tries to escape prison so that they can't cut his hair. He's in the hole at one point, and Dupree, who's a side character who we've seen a few times. I really love this guy. I don't know this actor, but the guy who played Dupree was great.
Mm-hmm.
Helps him escape from the hole because there's just like a grate in the floor that they can lift.
Just like a loose sewer grate.
Right. And he just goes down there, and then like Johnny Depp's in the sewers, and he loses his pants, and he's in his tighty whities.
Well, then
Yes.
Then he goes on a full ass fucking adventure through the sewers.
He does go on a sewer adventure,
led by a rat.
Yes.
Who basically leads him to another part of the prison where he opens the grate and there's a bunch of guards around him. And then the rat giggles.
I love the rat laughing at him. That really sent me.
The rat doing like a salacious beat crumb.
That's a really good salacious crumb. I want to touch Yabba. I want to touch
Salacious.
If I was Salacious Crumb, I could touch Yabba.
I want to touch Watto. Watto's a CGI character, Diego. You can't touch him. I want to touch him.
Let me touch Watto. I want to touch the sewer rat from Crybaby. It seems like it has a very interesting texture.
Meanwhile, while all this is happening, there's a few things that are going on. There's the Squares parade where the Squares are marching in the street being like, we're Squares and we're proud.
Right. They go on a Square Pride March, which feels homophobic. I feel like tiki torches would not be a miss at the fucking Square Pride March.
Then they march up to Allison's front yard.
Yeah.
And this is after she's heard that Lenora's told the news that Crybaby is the father of her child.
Yeah. And so like Allison is immediately like, okay, I'm gonna get back together with my Square boyfriend because Crybaby, you know, has his other girl or whatever.
Yeah. But the real thing to talk about here is Hatchetface and her boyfriend steal a helicopter and fly it to the prison and dodge gunfire to try to spring Crybaby.
I cannot tell you, David, how delighted I was when a helicopter took off and landed in this movie.
Me too. That helicopter flying over the prison and then landing in the prison yard, I was like, John Waters said, I need a helicopter, and someone gave him a helicopter.
A clear, like...
And that used to happen regularly
Yes.
in movies.
And you didn't just have to fucking CGI shit. You used to just be able to be like, get me a helicopter. And someone would be like, yes, sir, Mr. Waters.
The only
Yeah.
good CGI helicopter in movie history is in Who Killed Captain Alex.
That's true.
That's the one. That's the one fake helicopter.
Can you imagine if VJ Emmy did a commentary track to Crybaby?
Oh no, Crybaby's so sad. Oh,
Oh, don't follow the rat!
Oh, I'm Crybaby. I Crybaby.
Hatchetface, super pilot. Yeah. Hatchetface and her boyfriend steal a helicopter. I like when she's like, "Let me fly it."
Yeah, that's it. That's at least like a 4-star wanted level.
Yeah. And they
Flying that over the prison.
and they bring it into the prison, and the prison guards start shooting at him and shit.
I do
It's-
love when
it's
they
great.
run into the prison and there's like they see all the jail cells and they just start screaming like, "Where's Crybaby?" and all the prisoners are yelling
Yeah,
at him.
and then some of them are like, "He's that way," and they start running that way, and then they're like, "No, he's that way," and they start running the other way. Really funny gag, like very like Three Stooges gag, very very funny. Yeah. So Crybaby gets like recaptured because the rat betrays him, and they like stick him back in like a fucking. They're putting him in the haircutting line because that's the big. That's the big conflict of this movie is will he get his haircut or not? And there's another number when he's in the haircutting line. There's also like Allison is like performing with her square boyfriend and his doo-wop group. And I do like that whole performance where like
At the theme park?
yes,
The theme park opening?
yes, at the theme park.
Yeah.
Where like they're performing and the doo-wop guys are upstaging her and she's getting really pissed off about it. I do really like all that shit.
Yeah. So what happens here is the squares are trying to get Allison and they're going to go spring Crybaby out from juvie again. Like they're going to try to get him out again. And some of them have like mascot costumes on that they're hiding under.
Yes.
But this
Iggy Pop's there.
before this, Pepper, Iggy Pop, and the grandma.
Uncle Belvedere is Iggy
yeah,
Pop's
that's right.
character. Yeah.
They show up to this orphanage where the kids are displayed in these like
Oh,
little dioramas.
Okay, you forgot about the Iron Lung. I forgot about this shit.
These little dioramas of them dressed up in costumes.
Like they are puppies at a fucking mall puppy adoption
Yeah,
place.
because-
like they're like in the window like for sale.
and they're trying to get Pepper's kids because they were taken in the whole court.
Yeah.
The court hearing following the attack on the watering hole, and they're like basically dressed up like they're conjoined twins, and the madam of the orphanage is like, "No, you don't want these kids." And then Pepper pulls out this fucking Shinzo Abe ass pistol. This is the thing that fucking Luigi 3D printed to shoot the healthcare CEO. To steal her kids away.
Yeah.
It's just so fucking funny.
It's really funny. It rocks. Yeah. So she gets her kids back. Yeah.
And they get Allison from the
Yeah, so they like zip line in these mascot costumes and like snatch her from like the balcony of this theme park or
Yeah.
whatever.
and they do ask her like if she really like which man she really wants.
Consent is important to the Drapes. Crybaby is always very focused on consent in the scene with Allison where they're making out.
Yeah.
He's like, if you tell me to stop, I will. And he's like, I'm going to touch your boob. Is that okay with you? And she's like, yeah, over the shirt is fine. And he's like, okay. I really appreciated them highlighting like consent. And here they do it again, right? They're like, hey, we're kidnapping you, but we won't if you don't want us to.
Yeah, like we're gonna spring Crybaby, and if you really love him, you should come with us.
Yeah.
And then this is probably my other favorite scene in the movie, other than the watering hole stuff or the swimming hole stuff and the scene where they're talking about their past. Is Please Mr. Jailer.
Yes. This scene is awesome.
Yeah, and
It's
I
a
think
great number.
and I think she does a really really good job with the performance too.
Yes,
like
I agree.
the song has a ton of like swagger to it, and she's like really selling it as she's like singing it.
Yeah, she's got like this red dress on. She's got like red lipstick. She's like really like giving this a lot of like swagger. It's awesome.
Yeah.
I like the part where they are in the jail and they're like singing on either side of the glass, right, where they have like the phone calls or whatever. And like I love when she picks up the phone and is doing like oohs into it, and then he picks up the phone and starts doing oohs into the phone. It's awesome.
At one
It's
point, he
great.
sticks his head out of the window and is like singing along.
Yeah.
And
It's great shit.
they basically sing their way into
Into the prison. Yeah. And then he he ends up breaking the glass between them with like the phone. And then like the judge is moved by the power of their love and the love that he has for Allison's grandma.
Yeah.
And
then
he's like, all right.
And then they have a little like ceremony of like Crybaby, we're gonna give you $3.50
And a new pair of
and
underwear.
a pair of underwear, and he's got a little standout. It's the whole town is turned out because
so funny.
again, nothing else is going on in Baltimore. I've never been to Baltimore, Maryland.
Me either.
At no point in this movie did this location register to me as Baltimore.
Yeah. I mean, maybe this is exactly what Baltimore's like.
I have no idea.
Or was in the 50s. Who knows? Maybe there were just, greasers in hot rods, riding on top of the car, which is what's about to happen. Because basically what happens here is like they're doing the little press conference being like, look at this rehabilitated young man. Look at this young love. It's so beautiful. And then Allison's fucking square boyfriend is like, hey, I have some beef with this. I object to this like wedding that's basically happening in front of me.
Yeah, because his dad was the security guard that threw the switch
I
on Johnny Depp's
Fuck.
serial killer father.
And he starts mocking him because he's like, my dad killed your dad.
John Waters, if you're listening, please give us the Alphabet Killer, a crybaby story.
The Alphabet Killer prequel.
Yeah.
It's like Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer. It's like really dark. Yeah, so he's like, I challenge you to a game of chicken, right? And Crybaby accepts. So then it's like the Drapes and the Squares get into their cars to play this game of chicken. And it's like a big thing where it's like everybody's like, oh, like this is so dangerous, don't do it. And I think Crybaby's like, do it on top of the car. Or maybe it's the boyfriend. I don't remember which one of them suggests it. But it's like Crybaby is like on top of the car, like holding on to the windows while Iggy Pop drives. And like the sister's in the back seat, which we'll get to that. But
His sister in the backseat is giving birth.
yes.
We don't need to
Yeah.
wait for that.
You're right. She gives birth to a baby during the game of chicken, and it's thank you, John Waters. And then there's like the Squares with their car, and then like the shitty boyfriend is on top of that car, and they drive at each other, right? And the fucking Squares call chicken first and veer off and drive into an actual chicken coop and get covered in chicken feathers.
Mhm.
And it's funny. I like it. It's good. I like when Pepper gives birth to a baby in the backseat. She just pops it out and it's like already clean. It's so funny. It is so funny. Yeah. And then everybody sheds a single tear, basically.
Yeah, Allison's on like a bike and she flies through the
Oh,
air.
yeah.
Crybaby catches her in his
This
arms.
dummy, this repeated shot of this dummy getting thrown through the air was really also sending me. It's just so funny that they use the same shot of the dummy being thrown through the air multiple times as multiple people are like watching Allison fly through the air.
Everyone sheds a single tear, but
Yeah.
Crybaby and Allison shed 2 tears, one for each eye.
That's
We
right.
also forgot to mention the teardrop tattoo.
Oh fuck, he gets a stick and poke from Dupree, who's cool as fuck.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's where I first learned about teardrop tattoos and like what they mean. I
Yeah.
remember that.
He
from
gets a teardrop
Crybaby.
for Allison because he thinks his relationship with her is over.
Yeah.
Because she, it's open. It's not filled in. 'Cause
Mhm.
filled in means you killed somebody.
Yep.
Yeah. I used to work with a guy when I was working at a restaurant. I used to work with a guy who had 2 filled-in teardrop tattoos.
Did you ever ask him about those?
No. Are you fucking kidding me? No, of course I did.
Just making sure.
I would absolutely never ask about that. Because I would be afraid that I would be teardrop number 3.
And that's the end of the movie, basically.
Yeah.
We get some more music over the credits. We get another
It's-
King
yeah.
Crybaby song over the credits.
That's right.
That's Crybaby,
That is Cry Baby.
directed by John Waters.
Directed by John Waters.
Recommended to us by E.T., our lovely managing assistant,
Yes.
who also provided the research for today's episode.
And all of our episodes over the past few weeks and many weeks in the future, we hope.
Yes.
Please continue working with us, E.T. We really appreciate it.
We are sorry we can't pay you.
We are sorry we can.
Maybe
but if it's
someday.
any consolation, neither of us are getting paid either.
No.
David, is Cry Baby from 1990, directed by John Waters. I'm trying to say it like Werner Herzog. John Waters. I have the feeling this man is gay. Is Cry Baby, directed by John Waters, from 1990, the greatest movie ever made.
Herzog's hard, man.
He is really hard.
He's even hard for me.
Yeah.
And I've listened. I try really hard with my Herzog, but it's tough.
Yeah.
Justus. This is gonna be one of those that's like a no, but it's a really, really good movie, and I had a great fucking time watching it.
Yeah,
I
dog.
think what it is John Waters clearly put a lot of love and personality and energy into this movie, and is having a lot of fun lampooning, the status quo of the 80s and the tropes of the 50s nostalgia wave of the 80s. And again, also just making a fun, entertaining movie that is a lot of just enjoyable to watch. But it's sort of safe, and I really want to see what he does with his more subversive counterculture queer movies like Pink Flamingos.
Yeah, watch Pink Flamingos, my man. 'Cause
So
that'll be up your alley if that's what you're looking for from him.
So this is a no, but if anything, it's encouraged me to watch more John Waters, and I
Oh,
think
yeah.
that's a net
That's a good
positive.
thing. I agree.
But I had a fucking great time with this movie, and I'm glad that I have a more established relationship with it now, rather than it just being that one movie that I watched on TV at a
Right.
hotel once,
Yeah.
and for some reason still remembered.
Yeah.
No, I had a fucking great time with this movie, and
Good.
it got better for me as I watched it, and I'm surprised at how much I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Going into this, so because I wouldn't have expected that going into this. So no, but it's a good movie.
Yeah.
Justus.
Yes.
Is Crybaby directed by a man I think is gay, who I think is gay. Greatest movie ever made.
David. I had such a fun time with Crybaby. I was hooting and hollering. This movie like really got me thinking about a lot of shit. You know, where I was like, I understand that this is, to your point, maybe one of John Waters' safer movies. It's PG-13. It feels like accessible enough to a major studio audience, right? But at the same time, I feel like his kind of subversive, like punk, like fuck you touch is still very much here in this movie.
Yeah, it's definitely not diluted.
Yes.
It doesn't feel. It doesn't. It's he's playing it safe, but he's still injecting it with a lot of his
He's still
personality.
John Waters.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And like the shit in this movie that really hit the hardest for me was like the stuff that was making me laugh and then also making me like think about like how it's still connected to like how our country still is and how it still treats people like on the margins of society who like have queer identities or are poor or whatever, right? Are criminalized, right? Like people who are in prisons and juvenile detention facilities and stuff. Like I feel like the like social commentary is still very much here in this movie, even though it's like a lighter Waters joint, And I'm gonna give this one like a yes, like a light yes.
Okay.
Because I just had a ball watching Crybaby, and like you, it made me want to revisit Pink Flamingos, which I haven't seen in a very long time and wasn't prepared for when I saw it the first time. And check out some of John Waters' other movies, because fuck yeah, dude, this guy directed the fuck out of this movie. I think it looks really good. I think the editing is really good. I think the way he directs the performances is clearly it's showing up on screen that there's a unified creative voice behind all of the character decisions in this movie. And I think it really works. And I really fuck with his whole vibe, yeah, fuck it. Crybaby's the greatest movie ever made. I had a great time. Laughed my ass off when I saw that electric chair tattoo, so basically had it on lock from there.
Every time I see that electric chair tattoo, that is
It's
very funny.
It's so funny.
Really good.
David, what are we talking about next week?
We're talking about a zombie movie.
Yeah, because there is a third installment in a totemic zombie franchise. Two installment, about to be 3 installment franchise coming out.
Yeah.
In theaters soon. And so we're doing a tie-in on that.
To get that sweet, sweet engagement.
And also because we want to watch one of these movies because they're good.
They're good.
They're good.
I remember, and this one is good. Last time I watched it.
Yeah.
We're talking about 28 weeks. Weeks later.
Not days.
Not days. We thought it'd be more interesting to talk about weeks than days.
Because it has my boy, Robert Carlyle.
Does have Robert Carlyle.
It has Robert Carlyle in it. Most recent, I don't know why I'm saying his name like that. Most recently seen on this podcast in The Full Monty.
We'll also have the opportunity to talk about Jeremy Renner. If only there was an app that we could also use to talk about Jeremy Renner.
High Priestess Pod hates Jeremy Renner. Did you know that? She doesn't like his face.
Okay, that makes sense. I get that.
She just looks at his face and is like, I don't like him. She loves the movie Arrival with Amy Adams, but her one knock against it is that Jeremy Renner is in that movie, because she's like, I love Arrival, but I can't stand Jeremy Renner. I don't like his face. And to be clear, I think Jeremy Renner great in Arrival. And I don't have a problem with his face.
Is he great in 28 Weeks Later?
We'll
Find out next week.
Yes. Sorry, I'm killing time because this episode was short and I want to stretch it out a little bit.
All right. Yeah, so come back for that. I'm just going to say right now, and I'll bring it up on that episode, I'm angry that we skipped 28 months.
Yeah.
I don't like it. Danny Boyle and Alex Garland, you have things to explain to me.
Yes.
But
explain yourselves, cowards. Give us months.
So, yeah, join us for that next week. In the meantime, continue to spread the word about the show to your friends, family, any greasers that you may know, or if you're hanging out with a bunch of squares.
If you're a drape, if you're a square, regardless,
Yeah.
I feel like we're more for the drapes than for the squares, but, recommend us to your squares too.
Spread the word about us on social media. Leave us a review. Give us a like or a comment wherever you listen. Hey, if you're watching along with us, let us know what you think of Crybaby, or of any of the movies that we've talked about so far. And thank you to our managing assistant, E.T., for our research and the recommendation for this week.
Yeah.
Until then, we'll see you guys next week with 28 Weeks Later. And as always, later dipshits.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of The Greatest Movie Ever Made. Please remember to leave us a rating and a review, and to subscribe to the show wherever you listen. We appreciate you supporting the show and spreading the word. Tell your friends to listen, tell your enemies to listen, tell your mom to listen. If your neighbor has an unsecured Bluetooth speaker, connect to it and play an episode. You can follow us on social media at TGMEM_podcast. And if you've got a movie that you want us to talk about, send us an email at thegreatestmoviepodcast@gmail.com.